Dear students, I welcome you all to this lecture. Today we will discuss the topic of critique of idealism. In this lecture, we will mainly focus on the Marxist critique of idealism. We will also look at how idealism and Marxism are connected to each other. The main objectives of this lecture are to revisit the philosophy of idealism, to learn about the differences between idealism and materialism, to understand the relationship between idealism, materialism and Marxism. To study the Marxist critique of idealism, dear students, in order to understand the Marxist critique of idealism, it is essential to go back to early 18th century Germany. It was during the 18th and early 19th century that idealism gained popularity and materialism emerged as the most extensive critique and alternative to idealist philosophy. So, to comprehend the Marxist analysis of idealism, we must first study idealism and materialism as significant continental philosophies. Let us begin with idealism. Idealism is a philosophical perspective that asserts the primacy of ideas, thoughts or consciousness in the realm of reality. It argues that the mental or spiritual realm is more fundamental and essential than the material world. Idealism comes in various forms and has been explored by philosophers throughout history, with each version offering different nuances. It has had a significant impact on the development of Western political thought. There are different branches of idealism, including metaphysical idealism, which deals with the nature of reality, and epistemological idealism, which focuses on the nature of knowledge and perception. Notable forms of idealism include metaphysical idealism, associated with George Berkeley, an Anglo-Irish philosopher; transcendental idealism, associated with German philosopher Immanuel Kant; and absolute idealism, associated with German philosopher like Friedrich Schelling and Friedrich Hegel. Underlying all these different forms of idealism is a common belief that the mental and spiritual realm is more fundamental than the material world. It states that everything, including physical world, ultimately derives from or depends upon mind or consciousness. This viewpoint challenges the idea that the material world exists independently of mental or cognitive processes. So, what are the distinctive features of idealism? Number one, the fundamental element of reality to the idealist is mind or spirit. Everything else comes from mind or spirit and depends upon its operation. Number two, mind or spirit exists before and apart from matter. Spirit is the abiding reality, matter is just a passing phase or illusion. Number three, mind or spirit is identical with or emanates from the divine, or at least leaves open the possibility of supernatural existence, power and interference. Number four, from this it can be seen that idealism can be understood as a diluted form of the religious conception according to which a divine mysterious power is placed above nature, that human consciousness is a tiny spark emanating from this divine power, and the human a creature chosen by God. Idealism can be seen as a response to philosophical skepticism, which questions the possibility of objective knowledge. Idealists argue that by emphasizing the role of the mind in shaping reality, they can provide a coherent and meaningful account of knowledge. Idealism places a strong emphasis on epistemology, the study of knowledge. It contends that the mind shapes our understanding of reality, and knowledge is fundamentally a product of mental processes. Idealism explores questions about how humans perceive and interpret the external world, and how mental constructs influence our understanding of reality. As we have seen, idealism has various forms. However, we need to focus mainly on German idealism for this lecture. German idealism refers to the philosophical movement in Germany during the late 18th and 19th century. Prominent German idealists include Immanuel Kant, Fichte, Schelling, and Hegel. They explored various aspects of idealism, ranging from transcendental idealism to absolute idealism, and often engaged in debates about the nature of reality and human consciousness. German idealism profoundly impacted the development of continental philosophy, influencing subsequent movements such as phenomenology, existentialism, and critical theory. These later philosophical traditions often engaged with and critiqued the ideas of the German idealists. Now, let us look at materialism. Materialism is a philosophical perspective that asserts the primacy of the matter or physical world over the mental or spiritual realm. In this way, materialism has the exact opposite arguments from idealism. Thinkers like Feuerbach, Marx, and Engels began to challenge and transform idealist ideas into materialist philosophies, which had a profound and lasting impact on the course of philosophy, politics, and social theory in Germany and beyond. Materialism believes that the fundamental nature of reality is composed of physical entities, matter or material substances, and the mental or spiritual phenomenon are either reducible to or emergent from material processes. Let us look at the distinctive features of materialism. The basic proposition of materialism refers to the nature of reality regardless of the existence of humankind. It states that matter is first in order. The second aspect of materialism covers the relations between matter and mind. The human brain, a part of the human organism, thinks, and the human organism is matter organized in a highly intricate form. Matter existed before any kind of mind appeared on the earth's surface. Matter existed before the appearance of a human thinking. In other words, matter exists objectively, independently of mind. Mind is a unique property of matter, organized in a particular manner. Materialism is closely aligned with empiricism, the philosophical position that emphasizes the importance of sensory perception and empirical evidence in acquiring knowledge about the world. Materialists often value empirical methods and scientific inquiry as the most reliable means of understanding reality. Materialism often aligns with naturalism, which holds that The natural world is the only reality and no supernatural or metaphysical entities or forces are at play. Naturalism rejects supernatural explanations in favor of scientific and naturalistic ones. Materialism is critical of dualism, the philosophical perspective that posits a fundamental distinction between the mental and the physical, often as mind and body. Materialists argue that the dualism faces challenges in explaining how mental and physical entities interact and influence each other. Like idealism, materialism also comes in various forms and interpretations, and there are nuanced positions within this philosophical perspective as well. Several types of materialism reflect different approaches to understanding the relationship between the mental and the physical, and offer different ways of addressing the complex questions surrounding the nature of consciousness, cognition, and the mind-body problem. Now, let us look at Marxism and materialism. Marxism is a socio-political and economic theory deeply rooted in materialism, specifically historical materialism. Marxism, developed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, provides a comprehensive analysis of society, economics, and history based on a materialist understanding of human existence. Marxism is intricately connected to materialism through its focus on historical materialism, dialectical materialism, the economic base superstructure framework, and the central role of class struggle in shaping societies. Marxism uses a materialist lens to analyze and critique existing social and economic structures, ultimately advocating for radical change to address perceived material injustices and class-based inequalities. Let us look at the reasons for calling Marxism a materialist philosophy. Number 1. Historical materialism. Central to Marxism is the concept of historical materialism, which is a materialist theory of history and social change. It asserts that the development of human societies and their structures can be explained primarily by changes in the materialist conditions of existence. These material conditions include the mode of production, technology, and the distribution of resources. Number 2. Dialectical materialism. Marxism incorporates a dialectical materialist worldview, which combines dialectical philosophy, that is, a method of understanding change through contradictions, with materialism. Dialectical materialism holds that the world is constantly changing and that these changes are driven by contradictions within the material world, especially within class-based societies. Number 3. Base and superstructure. Marxists propose a distinction between economic base of society and the superstructure. The base includes the material forces of production like technology, labor, and resources, and the relations of production like class relationship, ownership, and labor exploitation. The superstructure encompasses institutions like politics, religion, culture, and ideology. According to Marxism, the superstructure is shaped by and serves the interest of economic base. Number 4, class struggle. Marxism emphasizes class struggle as a central dynamic in history and society. It argues that social change occurs when the material conditions of a society lead to conflicts between social classes, particularly between the working class, that is proletariat, and the owning class, that is bourgeoisie. These class struggles drive historical development. Number 5, economic determinism. Marxism is often criticized for being overly deterministic in its materialist approach. Economic determinism suggests that economic factors determine most aspects of society. Number 6, materialist analysis of capitalism. Marxism provides a critical analysis of capitalism from a materialist perspective. It examines how the capitalist mode of production generates economic inequalities, exploitation of labor, and alienation of workers from their products of their labor. As we have discussed, I hope it is clear how Marxism is a materialist philosophy. In that case, one can easily conclude that Marxism is also a critique of idealist philosophy because materialism is the opposite of idealism. Dear students, let us now look at the interaction between Marxism and idealism. Idealism and Marxism are two distinct philosophical and political perspectives, and they have some profound differences in their fundamental principles and beliefs. However, there are historical and conceptual connections between them, particularly how Marxism emerged and developed as a response to idealist and Hegelian philosophy. Let us look at the connection between idealism and Marxism. One of the critical connections between idealism and Marxism is the influence of German philosopher Hegel. Hegel's philosophical system, known as absolute idealism, was a dominant intellectual force in Germany during the early 19th century. Hegel's dialectical method and emphasis on historical development left a profound mark on the thinking of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Both idealism and Marxism incorporate a dialectical method of analysis, though with different importance. In the Hegelian idealism, the dialectic is primarily applied to the realm of ideas and concepts, emphasizing the evolution of thought and historical development of ideas. Whereas in Marxism, on the other hand, the dialectical method is extended to the material world and social relations, focusing on the class struggle and historical materialism. Marxism developed a philosophical framework known as dialectical materialism, which blends dialectical elements from Hegel with a materialist foundation. Dialectical materialism serves as the philosophical underpinning of Marxism, emphasizing the dialectical nature of societal contradictions, class struggle, and historical change. While Marx and Engels rejected idealism in favor of materialism, they did not entirely discard all idealist themes. For instance, Marx's theory of alienation includes elements related to the estrangement of human beings from the product of their labor, which can be seen as a concern for human self-realization and fulfillment, echoing the idealist notions of human development. Taking seriously the Hegelian idea that individual freedom resulted from specific social conditions, Marx concluded that the modern social conditions exemplified by the capitalist mode of production were antithetical to freedom. Marx accepted Hegel's insistence on the active nature of human beings, but rejected his idealism. Dear students, let us now look at the Marx's critique of idealism. Marx and Engels critiqued idealist and philosophical approaches that, in their view, detached ideas from materialist reality. They argued that such idealist philosophies were inadequate for understanding the concrete struggles and material conditions of working class. Marxism sought to provide a materialist and empirical analysis of society and capitalism. In their university days in Germany, Marx and Engels were part of a group called Young Hegelians. The Young Hegelians were a group of intellectuals and philosophers in the mid-19th century who were influenced by the philosophical ideas of Hegel. They were known for their critical and radical interpretations of Hegel's philosophy, often pushing it to a new and unconventional direction. The Young Hegelians played a significant role in shaping intellectual and political thought in their time. However, Marx and Engels eventually distanced themselves from the group as they developed their own revolutionary theory. They went on to formulate the principles of Marxism, which significantly departed from many of the philosophical positions held by the Young Hegelians. Despite their departure, their early intellectual development was influenced by intellectual excitement of Young Hegelian movement. Hegel's philosophy provided a philosophical foundation for Marx and Engels to build upon the critique. Let us focus on Marx's critique of Hegel's absolute idealism and how it helped shape the pillars of Marx's materialist philosophy. Marx criticized Hegel's abstract idealist philosophy for its failure to address the material conditions of human existence and for its ideological function. Marx's work represented a departure from Hegel's idealism. Marx believed that social conditions and materials determine the position of individuals in society. God has nothing to do with the living standards of people. The rich are responsible for the poverty that rocks the unfortunate in society. Marx considered Hegel's explanation a teleological metaphysics that only justifies human problems through religion. Hegel could explain poverty as a punishment from God. Marx could view same as part of the process of capitalism. Marx's critique of Hegel had significant political implications. He argued that Hegel's philosophical system, emphasizing the state and the reconciliation of opposites in an idealist fashion, legitimized the existing social order. He argued that idealist philosophies like Hegel's were essentially ideological in nature, serving the interests of the ruling classes by abstracting away from the concrete realities of social inequality. On the other hand, Marx aimed to expose the contradictions and conflicts within capitalist society and advocate for the revolutionary transformation of that society by the working class. Marx emphasized that historical specificity of social and economic formations, while Hegel sought to uncover universal principles of history and the state. Marx argued that different historical epochs have distinct social relations, modes of production, and class struggles, making it crucial to analyze each period in its specific historical context. He criticized Hegel for providing a one-size-fits-all philosophical framework. For Hegel, the lives of people in society are influenced by objects. The same objects are the major causes of alienation. Individuals need the objects to accomplish their tasks. Without the objects, people can do nothing to satisfy their needs. From Hegel's analysis, it is evident that alienation is inevitable in human history. Alienation is natural to human beings, and objects shape it. The objects keep on changing in shape and form. It reaches a time when human beings dispute the existing structure by arguing that some objects are unnecessary. Alienation to Marx does not pertain to human objects. Instead, it relates to the production of goods and services in the society. It is more concerned about ownership of the means of production. Hegel observed that labor was a positive activity in human history. However, Marx differed with him since labor is evil, which causes alienation and domination in society. In fact, to Marx, labor is the leading cause of alienation. It is not natural but man-made. The bourgeoisie alienate and exploit proletariat consciously and intentionally for profit maximization. Hegel viewed alienation as inherently in people, but Marx narrowed it down to an individual. Individuals are alienated from their own activities since they have no time to conduct private activities apart from animal related ones, such as eating, sleeping, and procreating. While departing from idealism in its materialist orientation and focus on class struggle, Marxism was also shaped by the dialectical and historical thought of Hegelian idealism, and it represents a significant critique and transformation of certain idealist themes. Dear students, let us now look at why studying the critique of idealism is necessary. The Marxist critique of idealism has influenced philosophical debates on the nature of reality, consciousness, and social ontology. It has prompted discussions about the relationship between thought and being, the role of ideology in society, and material basis of human existence. The critique of idealism has been instrumental in shaping socialist and communist political movements worldwide. It has inspired activists and thinkers to challenge existing social order and advocate for proletarian revolution. Marxists assert that this critique is crucial for understanding society, history, and social change, and this has had a lasting impact on various fields. As students of modern political philosophy in particular and social sciences in general, it is vital to study critique of idealism. The analysis of idealism provides us insights into the development of philosophical traditions. Idealism has been a prominent philosophical perspective throughout history and understanding its critique helps one to appreciate the evolution of philosophical thought. The critique of idealism is not limited to a single perspective, but encompasses a range of critiques from various philosophical traditions, including materialism, empiricism, and existentialism. Studying these critiques allows for a more comprehensive understanding of the debates within philosophy. Idealism often deals with questions related to the nature of reality, knowledge, and consciousness. Critiques of idealism help to clarify and refine these concepts, fostering a deeper understanding of how we perceive and interpret the world. Idealism has had a significant influence on social and political thought throughout history. The critique of idealism is essential for understanding how different ideologies such as liberalism, conservatism, and Marxism engage with idealistic concepts and provide alternative frameworks for understanding society and politics. Dear students, let us now conclude this lecture. The study of idealism and its critique is not confined to historical debates. Idealist ideas and their critiques influence various contemporary philosophical, political, and ethical issues. These issues include questions about the nature of reality, ethics, justice, and the role of the state. To conclude, the Marxist critique of idealism challenges abstract and idealist conceptions of reality. It offers a materialist and dialectical framework for understanding society, history, and the struggles for social justice. It has profoundly impacted philosophy, politics, economics, and social theory, contributing to both critical analysis and revolutionary movements aimed at transforming the existing social order. So, dear students, I hope you enjoyed learning about Marxist critique of idealism in this lecture. Thank you.